Today, we're going to talk about a controversial topic that's been making the headlines recently. A few parents in Florida have been very upset and have gone public with their concerns, claiming that the statue David by Michelangelo is pornographic. So, as an educator, an author, and somebody who's an advocate of having healthy conversations about sexuality, about sex, about the body, I wanted to address this issue and explain why you're the problem if you think this way, if you think that David is pornographic. If you've read my book, Read Me, a parental primer for the talk up there in the corner, you'll know that I emphasize talking about sex and sexuality with your kids from a really early age. Actually, really any time you can begin is a great time. And we're not talking about sexual positions. It's talking about things like communication, consent, respect, pleasure, and fantasy. Each of these things are really crucial components to be able to talk about sex without actually having to talk about sex, intercourse, basically. But they are things that help a person have a healthy adult sexuality. So, Michelangelo's David is a masterpiece of Renaissance art. It was created to showcase the beauty of a shepherd boy named David, if I'm not mistaken, if it was about a shepherd. And seeing a nude statue as pornographic is a reflection of our own discomfort about nudity, about sexuality, and certainly it was not the intention of the artist. I'm sure it was not the intention of the artist to make it pornographic. In fact, if you look at the history, they put it in like the central square so everyone could see it. So clearly they didn't have the same hangups about the body. The key to a healthy approach about sexuality is understanding the difference between art and pornography. Art, like the statue of David, like the Venus, statue of Venus with in the shell, right? These things are created to evoke emotion, to get you really thinking, and also to share a sense of beauty. And pornography, yeah, okay, maybe it'll evoke some emotions, it'll get you thinking, but generally, pornography is created to stimulate, like just to get some sexual arousal going for some folks. And it's really important to teach our children the difference between pornography and art. And the statue of David is not pornography. Being able to help kids understand the difference between art and pornography helps them have a healthy appreciation for art and to really know the difference and the nuance of, what is pornographic, what's erotic, things like that. Labeling David as pornographic basically perpetuates the idea that nudity or the body is inherently shameful, dirty, embarrassing. And these things can lead to negative self-perceptions. They can lead to judgment of other people's bodies. We really have to work to break down these harmful stigmas so we can have these open conversations about the human body, about sexuality. And like I said, in the book, I write about this in the book, how you can have these conversations with children to encourage body positivity and self-acceptance, to teach them about consent and boundaries, which are really, really important, helps them really help them understand the various aspects of human sexuality. That's not just about sexual positions, and helps you to address whatever questions or concerns they have in an age appropriate and honest way, basically. If you can have these conversations openly, and I know it's probably going to be really uncomfortable because chances are your parents didn't know how to talk about this or didn't know what to say. And so that also gives you a message, right? When nobody says anything and it's all whispered, or you get your messages from media, those messages carry with you into adulthood and might be the source of some of the problems that you might be experiencing. So it's important to remember that art, like Michelangelo's David, these things can be powerful tools that we can use to start conversations. We can talk about art, we can talk about the body, and we can talk about beauty in the world. I wanted to mention too that this happened, I think, in 2004 for the Super Bowl, something similar. Some of you will remember Nipplegate, where Janet Jackson and Justin Timberlake, during the halftime show, he reached over, grabbed a piece of her costume and sort of ripped it off so that her breast was exposed, but she was wearing a nipple pasty, so her nipple, her areola and nipple were not showing. But there was a huge commotion about this. I even wrote a blog post about it all those years ago, so that you can read more about that, and I'll include that in the show notes so that you can check out that blog post as well. But that was like 19 years ago or so, and at least from the time of them making this video. And it really doesn't seem like we've changed our attitudes that much around the body, around nudity. We still seem to think that being naked is sex, and it's not. So that is something that we need to move away from. We need to move away from this idea that the body inherently has something bad about it when we are when we're naked. It's yeah, it's the body. It's not sex. So the more we can talk about this, the less taboo it will be. The healthier our relationships will become, both with ourselves, with our own body, and, hopefully free of judging other people and their bodies. So if you want to learn more about these conversations and how to have them with your children, you can check out my book, Read Me, A Parental Primer for the Talk. You can get it directly from my website, themamasutra.com, or you can go to Amazon, buy it there. Any of the other bookstores, independent booksellers also have it. So stay open, stay curious, and let's keep this conversation going.